and I would really appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful southern coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County. Hello, Oregon. Hello, America and beyond. And I want to thank you all for joining me. I'm not sure if we're playing Where's 3H Tree Service today. Matt didn't get a hold of me, and I didn't text him. So we'll just call it a draw today for Where's 3H Tree Service. Maybe if someone knows, they can text me. But I've got a really good guest coming on. And I don't know about you, but I am worn out. This 4th of July was just crazy. We were up at 5, 6 in the morning getting ready for the parade. And then we had a flag wave at 3 o'clock, which turned out to be beautiful. And so I was quite excited about all the things that happened. So I didn't get this show advertised as quick as I wanted to, because I have a really good guest on. And she is someone that I think everyone should tune into, because she's got a lot of answers for a lot of you parents and grandparents out there. I know a lot of you grandparents are raising your kids right now. And raising your kids, it's not a good thing some cases. But they want to know what's going on in their schools. And I got a lady here who can tell you all about it. Joining me today is Suzanne Gallagher. Suzanne, how you doing?
Hey, Rob. Thank you. This is going to be fun. It's also very serious, very serious. However, we're making waves.
Have you been traveling?
I traveled for pleasure earlier in the month. Yeah, was out of the country.
I thought you had a big convention. Didn't you just recently had a big convention? Was that last year?
That was last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, it goes so quick. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So we're gearing up, though, because we've got school board elections next year in the state of Oregon. And I understand your primary audience is in Southern Oregon, and lots of great stuff going on in Southern Oregon. Shaking it up. That's also happening in the state of Washington. And our focus this year is going to be on the school board races, so we can help candidates. We'll want to leave your audience with information about that. I'm just going to put out my website right now, and they can, open it up and take a look as we're talking. parentsrightsineducation.com. That's it. Go there, sign up. All of my really excellent articles, I have to say, are featured on the homepage of the website. You scroll down to the bottom, it's under media, and there's lots of good stuff. I just did a series all on the national level about the size. Okay, get this. Based on the money that's spent, money allocated for K through 12 education nationwide, the price tag is bigger than the Pentagon. So who people don't know, they don't realize what kind of a machine we have in K through 12 education. And that's with, contracts. They're contracting, curriculum writers, they're contracting media people. There's a ton going on in K through 12 education that a lot of people don't know about. And because of that, they are very protective of their domain, their empire. The K through 12 education empire.
I can believe it. Yeah. And they, the unions, they make a lot of money off of this. A lot of people don't realize that the Department of Education is really for all its purposes, is a fundamental union organization. It doesn't really teach or educate any students. It just sucks up a lot of our money and decides where it will get distributed based on who gets their preferential treatment.
Yep, and there is an agenda there, and we've been the recipients of that. Some states have a little bit better handle on it than we do in the state of Oregon, but our people are waking up, and our school boards are putting forth policies that don't necessarily go along with the Oregon Department of Education. So it really behooves anyone who has kids in school, or people like you and me, Rob. I mean, we're paying for this.
Yeah.
We need to get engaged because, okay, here's one huge example just staring us in the face, screaming in our ears, and that is the communism versus capitalism debate that has suddenly taken center stage, in the political arena. And why is it that people do not know what communism actually is and what it causes, what the destruction that it will do to our nation? Come on, we're elected people. And in the Tri-County area in, Portland, Multnomah County, Washington County, Clackamas County, those counties are highly affected by the Democratic Socialist candidates. They are running, and they are running under that banner. Watch out. Our schools have already embraced the entire agenda in this area.
They have here in Oregon, especially. And people think, they think here in Southern Oregon, we've got a really red county, and we should have a really red county. But if you look at our cities and our councils, and you look at our school boards, especially in the last two elections, we went really far left, and people are not catching on to this because they don't think that school boards matter. They don't think these small districts matter, but those districts are the ones who are deciding who does and who doesn't get those multi-million-dollar benefit packages from the government.
Yep. That's right. That's right. So
Carol
that's what
Carol Yardley just texted me. She's watching right now from the Republican headquarters in Coos Bay. And she's a school board member, one of the few remaining school board members besides Michelle Roberts on the North Bend School District. And she just said, we need more school choice. And this is coming from a public school board member,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is the other side of our coin. Our coin that we're working on is K through 12 education, because at this point, especially in Oregon, we are not close to passing a school choice, a full-on school choice opportunity. Yeah. However, that doesn't mean that we drop the conversation. That doesn't mean that we stop talking about it, pushing for it. And, the biggest frustration that I have with government in general is how slow it works. It takes time. And I was a business owner for over 25 years, owned my own business. And, I called all the shots. It was great. I didn't have to answer to anybody. I could give myself a day off.
Right.
Yeah. And
you had an in with the boss. Yeah. I always tell my wife that, she owns her own business, and I tell her, stop. Your boss is kind of a meanie. She needs to give you a day off,
Well, we get spoiled that way. But when it comes to government, we have to, go through the system. Yeah. We have to get bills passed. We have to collect signatures for initiatives to recall bad legislation. These things take so much time, and educating the public, et cetera. So it can be very frustrating. So while we're also talking about choice, we need choice within the education system. Just choice between, can my child go to the other high school, for example? Is there a charter school availability in my school district?
Right.
Those
And
kinds of things. We need more choice just even within the system. People need to see that, education is not one size fits all. And I hear from people, not just about, the school counselor is trying to change my kid's sex, but what about, can he even read?
yeah.
Can he read? Do they understand civics? Are they getting the historical teaching that is required by statute in the
Right.
state of Oregon? It's supposed to start in the 8th grade. I talked to a retired teacher just recently, and he was explaining to me, he teaches history, and he said, yeah, we teach U.S. history every single year, beginning in 7th grade, all the way through. Every year they get U.S. history. And I said, he said, what would you like to see? And I said, I'd like to see civics.
Yeah.
The teaching of how to impact your local government. That is like hugely important, and young people don't understand. So many people don't understand.
Well, remember back when we went to school, we had civics, and then it became social studies. And then it really got diverted into other things besides what civics was all about. And it's amazing getting signatures for petitions. I have to explain all the time the different petitions, why we're allowed to do the initiative process, why some states don't have it, the difference between direct democracy and a representative government. Some people are really, and these are Republicans, some of them, they come in and they're very confused. And you can tell that it's an education system that has lied and distorted what these people were taught.
Right. And okay. And then the big one is, what do we have when it comes to our rights? What is a right and what is not?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people claim their rights. They have rights. You can think of them, but they actually don't. And by the way, I'd like to put in here right now that school boards have rights, and their rights are being taken away, meaning that they have the right and responsibility to represent their constituency, the citizens that elect them. They are elected representatives to their school district. And that means that parents and citizens, not just parents, let's not say, and I love the fact that you brought that up, Rob, okay, it isn't just about parents. Okay, we're not oblivious to the fact that parents are just trying to survive.
Right.
Many of them have 2 jobs. Mom and dad are both working. Life is hard. Okay.
And you got to compete against this, Suzanne. This is hard to compete against. My 4-year-old granddaughter, she loves the games on this damn thing. And I'm always telling her, no, we're not going to do that. No. But she loves that stuff.
I know. See? Yeah. So much competition for our time. Yeah. But what is more important than educating our youth so that they can take the role and responsibility that you and I are trying to fulfill by having an impact on our civil government?
I've been playing, there's some really good Bible lesson videos that tell the basic stories in the Bible. And there's some that and I forget the name of the 2 guys. Was it the Hobson twins? Hodgkins?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They do some really good videos that if you can catch kids' eye, they absorb it. It just takes a little bit of eye candy to get their attention,
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's tons of supplemental materials, books, videos, etc., that parents can supplement. And I mean, when we were raising our kids, that was just part of the drill. school was one thing, but parents need to take the responsibility of teaching their children. Absolutely. And, the whole discipline piece. Don't send your kids to school to get fixed.
Right. Yeah, whoa,
That's
no, these are some messed up people already themselves.
yeah,
So
yeah.
going back to the rights of the school board members, the people on the school board, they have authority. They're given authority by the people that they represent. And a lot of times I think school board members, and Steve Hamerson is on here, he's a school board member in Douglas, the city of Douglas, or the city of Roseburg in Douglas County. And
Yeah.
Carol Yardley is watching, who's also, like I just said, on North Bend. So you've got two serving city council school board members sitting right here. So that's kind of cool that we can do
That's
this.
way cool. And what I'd like to have them do is go on our site and take the quiz. We have a quiz, it's on the homepage, and then fill out the information, get their pre-score, okay, and then indicate who they are. So they're an elected official, and then we will recognize them on our website, and they'll get our information, that we send out like every week. We have a lot of tools that school board members can use, and we'd like to engage our school board members more than ever, and get them sharing between one another the various policies that they're putting forth and passing in their districts. Not only do we help them get elected, but we follow up and support them afterward. Also, if they sign up as an affiliate of our organization, which just means they're the contact person in their area,
Right.
Many candidates become affiliated with us. And then after they're elected to the school board, they have an immediate, because when people go to the site and they affiliate with the affiliate, so they say, well, we want Steve. I want to associate with Steve in my area. He's my contact person. Then after they're elected, they can communicate with those individuals directly. They are immediately notified when someone new comes on the site and wants to affiliate with them. It's an automated feature of our site that information is sent directly to our affiliate. Very few organizations do that. Usually they have a very complicated vetting process. We vet our affiliates, but we don't vet the people that they're trying to engage in, supporting them in their role. Right. So we also have affiliates who are not school board members. They're local people. I know the one in Grants Pass is Becky Lemler, and she's a huge supporter of the new, very involved in her area. And she helps us with some of our social media activities. Anyway, this is going on. And we've got to, dial it up in Oregon. We need individuals. There's no specific requirement for you, if you're an affiliate necessarily, except that you just bring new people in, introduce them, have them take the quiz. Now, it's really cool. And I love the fact that you're showing this. Thank you so much for doing that.
No problem.
We have a map. I love maps. So when you take the quiz, it puts a bubble on the map. So if you're an elected official, you could actually look at the map and see how many elected officials we have. We have elected officials that have very high-ranking offices as well, not just school board. And we also, there we go, take the quiz. See where it says pre-score map? So if you sign up and take the pre-score, and like I would do it, I would sign up and I would indicate other because I'm not an elected official. So then when I go to the map, it shows the whole country and all the bubbles. Now, these people are people who are candidates, I believe. Cottage Grove, let's see. I can't quite read that. It's small. on maybe
On the
I
screen, it may be real small, right?
can check it. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's small on my screen. I'm not sure how to use how to make it big here. But anyway, so if you click on, see where it says by state, by score, by, those are profiles of people who I think are running for office. Yeah, school board. No, these are school board members. So look,
Okay.
you can be associated with school board members all across the country.
That's very cool. Oh, that is
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. And then the map also, so we see where it says candidates. And then if you click on elected officials, it shows them. And then you click on other, and it shows the map for the whole country. Go back up a little bit. Okay. So you can do it by state, or you can do it by, the whole country.
Oh, there we go. Let's do elected officials. I see.
Click on other. We also show all of the upcoming elections. If you click on other, these are people who are like, there's people who are, state representatives and a variety of things. And then on other at the very, yeah. Now that, okay. What's going on here?
Ooh, look at all of
look
those.
At the map.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's very cool.
And those bubbles represent more than one individual. They're actually by area. So,
Let me hit just the state here and see if.
So, Rob, have you done this? I think you have.
I think I have. It's been a while. We do so many things. We get lost in the.
I get you.
But,
I get you. But everybody.
I'm pretty sure I have.
That should be almost in like solid red. But the reason that this is important is because people think, I'm the only one.
Right.
Hear that constantly. Oh, nobody else. Oh, there's nobody else that goes to school board meeting. Oh, yeah, they do. They'll go. And all it takes, if you've ever been in any kind of a public meeting and one person stands up and says, I love the USA, or they start chanting USA, for example.
Right.
Others will join in. They will. They're just waiting. They're just waiting for that one other individual. Is there anybody else but me?
Oh, that's something that I test all the time. I will sit there at a public meeting and they will ask for people to make public comment, and I will sit and wait and just before they go and clear it out, and I'll stand up, I'll make a public comment, and whatever I say will, everyone else was thinking it. They just didn't want to get up and be the first one to say it. And as soon as I sit down, another person will get up. Yeah, I want to speak too.
Right.
And it's frustrating because it makes me think, well, if I wasn't there and I wouldn't have stood up, nobody would have stood up that day. And so I tell people, if you go to a meeting, if you go and you don't speak, you really didn't attend, because nobody knows. That's not on the record. And that's important, because when I go back and I investigate a vote on a commission board, I go find out who voted for what and who voted for, who spoke out against it, who spoke for it. Because a lot of times they try to portray these things as, everyone was unanimous, we all loved it in the room, and it's usually not. And the way they get away with it is no one's speaking up, right?
Right. And so when it comes to the school board, or really any other agency like that, they have an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can look that up. You can go on the website and you can find out when's the board meeting. What are they going to be voting on? And then they usually have a time for public comment. And they usually always restrict your comments to about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You can actually, if you talk fast, you can say a lot in 3 minutes. You got to practice a little bit, but make it brief, to the point. And if you have more to say, talk to your friends. Maybe you've got 2 or 3 other friends who they agree with you. And they, and so in order to cover it all, then you divide up the testimony. You take one portion, the next person takes the next, and then the next.
Right.
And you make a statement and then invite other people. Everybody knows somebody. Everybody's got one person that could come and just be there to support them. In other words, show up. Not everybody has to speak. you need maybe 3 or 4 speakers, and then fill the room with the rest of the people who agree with the issue. What is it? And maybe it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Guess what? Okay, so we've got a leader in Lyndon, Washington. It's right up toward the Canadian border. And Nick is retired military. He has a daughter in the public school system. He's a great guy. And he decided to run for school board. Now that he's on the board, he and another conservative who's on the board with him decided that they wanted to pass a proclamation or a resolution supporting the 250th anniversary of our nation. And they presented that to their board, and it was passed a little bit reluctantly, but you know what? It is nonpartisan. This is about, a celebration, a national holiday, right? And so that's what they did. And he was, that gave him the impetus now as a leader in the minority on the board. Trust me, they don't have a majority of everybody who agrees on all these issues, but they are building that trust not only on the board, but in the community by suggesting the support of these basic ideas that are supportive of academic education in the families in your community. And it really is a civics lesson in how to, this whole unity. Everybody talks about unity. Oh, unity, unity. You don't just do unity. You have to do something of substance. You don't just walk around yakking about unity. I mean, nobody.
You have to have an action, something that unifies people together. COVID brought a lot of people together because we all had a common enemy, and that was government during COVID. Finally, people woke up.
Right. So parents do have rights in the school system. They have the right to be notified about what their child is being taught. And we have a page just dedicated to opt out. Opting out is a big thing in public schools. Parents want to know, what are my rights? Does my child have to take this? Does they have to read all the books on the reading list? Can't they, request a different book? They don't know what to do next. Well, there's a page, there it is, all about opting out. And
this is cool.
There's always been a right that parents have had, but they really didn't know it. And recently, there have been some new Supreme Court cases, again, making that case known. That see, so it says Supreme Court. So go on this page on the website. And by the way, school board members do that too. You guys check it out. You can create a policy in your school district for opt out. You have the right as a school board member to do that. And ODE might, and the union, they're going to get their underwear all in knots, over that. Oh, you can't do that. You can't. Wait a minute. Yes, you can.
Yes,
because
you can.
SCOTUS said. So
Mhm.
check it out. We have PDFs, we have sample testimonies, we have op-eds, we have all kinds of literature and information for you. At the very bottom of our site are all of the articles that we've written. Every week we write an article. I know there's a full-on article just about opt-out. And here it is, testify to your school board. I mean, everything you need to actually make it happen in your school district. Write letters and op-eds. There's some templates for letters and op-eds.
I don't know.
There's a
what happened
resource
there.
library.
Sorry.
I mean, check it all out. It's
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, this is something that if people are running, okay, so we get a lot of people who are going to be, wanting to run for the school boards, and I'll tell you why. We just had 2 school board members resign from the abandoned school board. They fired the superintendent. We've got brand new school board members. I think people are a little upset. So, there's 2 different, maybe 3 or 4 different sides. I don't know. So we're going to get some new school board members. I know North Bend is going to be really well contested. I think these are really good resources for people who want to find out if, first off, maybe if you're not a candidate, if the candidates you support are the kind of candidates you want on the school board, and you could just send them this and ask them, hey, have you done any of this?
Take the quiz.
Yeah, take the quiz.
Take the quiz. If they take the quiz, then we have a really good indication. There are 20 questions. We have a really good indication where they stand on all these various issues that make the difference between someone who wants to hear from parents or someone who doesn't. Who are they going to be listening to? That's what you want to know. When I come to a school board meeting, I expect that there will be that I will be received in a positive way,
Right.
as a mom. That my opinion matters because it's my child who's sitting in the seat in your classroom.
Yeah.
And I want to know if I'm uncomfortable having my child take a course that doesn't support our values, our family values. I want to know, are you going to allow my child to miss that class, to not have to participate in that class? And if that's the case, what do you plan for those kids who choose not? And are you going to put out a letter to all the parents saying, in 2 weeks, we're starting gender identity?
See, they don't offer an alternative. You know, they say you can opt out, but they really don't offer an alternative, say as, practice abstinence. We're going to give you a course on abstinence,
Right. And you know what? That could be the alternative course. They could offer that because the school district, even though Oregon Department of Education was influential in getting a law passed saying that school boards can't restrict books in the library, that they can't choose. Okay, you know about this law.
Yeah.
Actually, though, the Supreme Court upends that.
Right.
See, so you got to quote the statute. Take that when you go to talk to your district, or when you go to a school board meeting, tell them what you're up against. My child goes to XYZ school. They're saying no. Let the board know what's going on. And this isn't right. I mean, federal law says I have the right to opt my child out. And by the way, there are, 20 parents in the room here who would like to opt their child out too. What
sends a message?
What's going to happen with our kids? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there going to be an alternative course? Can we recommend one? Actually, yes, you can by law.
Nice.
And you should. And then where are they going to go? Are they going to go in the gym? Are they going to be in the library all together? What are you going to do about it? That's the right that you have as a parent and as a board. And the board, if I were on a board, I would say, hey guys, we've got to figure this out. We better put together, a curriculum committee, including some of these parents who have all these concerns, and come up with something to do with these kids, not just send them to the library to all, read
Right.
their own books or whatever. They have an obligation to teach your child. We're paying for that.
I got a question for you, and this is something that I've been asked by several parents. What happens when they go to open house and they go to their kids' teachers, their history teacher's room, and there's a huge gay pride flag hanging on the wall, and they're upset about this? Is there anything that can be done about that, or is that just c'est la vie?
You remember the Newberg debacle, don't you? Yeah. So that was settled out of court because it was going to be too expensive, and the school board was being sued. That was really very unfortunate because and now, especially in this 250th anniversary of our nation, there are some teachers in the school system who believe that the U.S. flag is a political flag, and that it is more controversial than a gay pride flag or one of these,
Right.
or patchwork quilts of all of the different groups. But I don't know. You have to take a pulse of your area. And you know what I always say? So I'll get interviewed by some journalists that don't think I really know that much.
Yeah.
And it goes on, and they'll bring things up like, well, do you know that in Texas they require that the 10 Commandments be, displayed in every classroom? What do you think about that? Do you think that should be legal? I mean, separation of church and state. I say, well, first of all, there is no such thing as separation of church and state.
Right.
That is not a law at all. In fact, find it for me. Can you produce that one for me? No, they can't. Okay. Also, what is the role of a school board? The role of a school board is to guard the rights of the parents and reflect the values of the community. That's their job. They must listen to you. That is their number one obligation.
Right.
To listen to the people in the community about what the school is doing. And if it's controversial, if it is highly controversial, like these flags you're talking about, Rob, hugely controversial in Newburgh.
Yeah.
Get rid of them. Get rid of them. Okay, if they don't want any flags at all, I guess that's fine. But wait a minute. This is a government school. Now, here's where people talk about, government schools, they're bad. Wait a minute. Not if they're following the Constitution. You're not telling me the Constitution is bad. What represents our government? The Constitution. Right. Bill of Rights, our laws. And I explained to this gal, this journalist, that she was single, feminist, just entering the field. And I said, well, let's look at the 10 Commandments. Every law that we have is based on or reflects the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill.
Yes.
You think that shouldn't be a law? That's a law. Okay. And I got to thinking about this very issue. If that were an issue in my school and they wanted to put up the 10 Commandments, and most of the people in the community were in favor of that. Okay. We do have the right to follow the religion that, of our conscience. We do. If another group came along and they said, well, what about if we have a quote from Gandhi, for example? Well, as long as it supports the Constitution,
right,
our laws. Now, I know everybody's thinking, oh, yeah, right, Sharia law. That doesn't go along with our Constitution.
No.
So it is a government school. Now, here we can say, all righty then. Because it is a government school, because our tax dollars are paying for it, we must honor the Constitution.
Right. And the flags that represent our country.
That's right. And that's it. Yeah, the flags.
And that's it. We don't need other flags.
Flag. It's not a political flag. It's not controversial. It's not controversial. Right. It's the flag of our nation. And how about the state of Oregon flag? Same thing. Every other flag. We're talking about flags on permanent display.
And the Oregon flag is the only flag that has two sides to it. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't know that either until recently. And
wow.
we're the only state that has two different sides on its flag. The 10 Commandments, our country was founded on Judeo-Christian values. Whether you're a Christian or not is irrelevant. They are based in objective, rational, moral codes that have been tried and tested for over 2,000 years, not just by one religion, two religions, the Jewish religion and the Christian religion. And so therefore, after many, many years of living with each other, people have figured out that there is a human nature that we have to recognize and that we're not all good In fact, we all have a little bad in us and we all have a little good in us. And that's why we need some boundaries set that are objective truths. Thou shalt not commit murder. Why? Because our body, our soul is our property, and you shouldn't harm other people and their property. Why? Because you don't want yourself or your property harmed. And that goes to another rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Hey, how about that?
How
That
about
wouldn't
that?
hurt, would it? The golden rule. So, this is our culture.
Right.
This is our culture.
No,
And
we don't have culture.
that's what's-
Remember, that's what they told us. We don't have culture.
Well, other people recognize that we do.
Right.
People, I think I mentioned we traveled in Europe earlier, and this year, actually about a month ago, got back, and I was so impressed, just impressed in general with what took place during the World Cup, and it's still going on. And tonight there's a big game. As far as all of these foreigners who are coming here, and they have been misled big time.
Yes.
They think that we're a bunch of hoodlums in this country, that there are all these oppressed people. Everybody's sad, everybody's mad, everybody's fighting. Not true. They love it here. They love it. And what I noticed in the European countries, they're losing their culture. And it's the immigration component that is doing that to the European nations.
Right.
And this is not good. So what's going on right now in our nation is wonderful. We are reestablishing our culture. Thank you for those comments, because it's so basic.
Yeah.
So basic. And if there are things that they're teaching, if they're exposing our young children, especially grade school age, to sexual behaviors and quote options, and parents are upset about that, boy, you better camp on the doorstep of that school until something is done about it.
That's the nice thing about having a small school district like Bandon is I literally terrify them when I go into the office. I can see them. They get that look on their face, and it's like they almost fade into the wall because they know if I'm there, somebody's in trouble and they're going to get chewed out. And I have chewed out a few superintendents and coaches and stuff who were doing things that were inappropriate.
Wow.
And I praise the ones that have done good, but I think parents need to step up and take that challenge.
Yeah, no, these are your kids. And what I'm reminded of is how, especially really young kids, they look to their teachers. We tell them, mind your teacher, respect your teacher. Don't speak unless, you're called upon, and, all of that. So we set our kids up to believe what they are hearing, and they think that their teacher knows everything. I mean, I've literally heard that, my teacher knows everything. She's so smart. Well, she doesn't know everything because she's 30. Anyway.
It was sad because I literally had to tell, I helped raise a few children in my time, and my kid and his friends, I would tell them, look, be respectful for your teachers, but they're wrong. They're humans too. And I remember they made the teacher cry because she was arguing over what is it called? Communism, redistribution. And they literally called her a communist, and she got upset because she was for government redistribution and be in charge of the supply chain. And they were calling her out for it, and she got upset. And I'm like, guys, you got to be cool, but thank you for standing your ground. And it also made me realize that this was an argument these kids were having. I think it was like 9th or 10th grade.
Sure.
We weren't having those kinds. I don't remember having those kinds of arguments. And it's weird that that's happening now in school.
Well, yeah, Rob. So, yeah, this is new. The left has gone so far. It's, I'm speaking to the choir. Gone
Yeah.
so far left now, to a degree that it's obvious. I almost think it had to come to that.
Yes.
Where seriously, and now we've got a political party that is going crazy because this is happening to them. I mean, they brought it on.
Mm-hmm.
Hate to say it, but they did. They brought it on themselves. They started embracing all these minorities and, all these goofy theories and ideologies and things.
Right.
And so they got to own it now. That's them. But now it has come down to, and I mean, I love it. I literally do, because they're calling it what it is. It's not democratic socialism. That's an oxymoron. They don't go together. No, there's no such thing as that. Democratic socialism. Call it what it is. And this is why I love President Trump. He goes, "What are you talking about? That's communism." It is straight up communism. Okay. So now that's the discussion. And I mean, capitalism is amazing. Look at what it has done for so many people all around the world.
Right.
Okay, we're winning this, and we've got to talk now more than ever. There are so many excellent resources. Talk with your kids, talk with your grandkids. Use the word. Capitalism is the best. It's the greatest. And I'm going to go to J.D. Vance's speech. I mean, I loved it. He was fantastic this weekend, and he brought up stories and highlighted individuals, entrepreneurs who were very, very successful financially, and they took it upon themselves. And the one that affected our part of the country, the West Coast, was Kaiser. Now, everybody kind of knows who Kaiser was. Well, for the most part.
Right.
But they think, oh, well, that must have been a person who started a hospital. No, not really. No. Go back and listen to the J.D. Vance speech. He didn't start out doing hospitals. He got into the healthcare, quote, unquote, business, so to speak, because of his workforce, because they needed help. They needed healthcare. And so he got to thinking, well, heck, we'll create this system where, all of our employees will have health care. Then he also added some early childhood development classes and some child care situations in various parts of the country. He even got into residential development because of his workers, because his business was so successful. Amazing story. And there's all kinds of stories like that. I even know Nike. They had childcare at Nike here in Beaverton.
Right.
I mean, 25 plus years ago, when Phil Knight was still chairman, for their employees.
The union always tries to take credit for the 40-hour work week, 8 hours a day. And the fact is that's due to Henry Ford, who created a working atmosphere that people wanted to work at because he wanted to improve the conditions so he can improve the output of the employee. So that was an capitalist, an entrepreneur who created the 8-hour day, 40 days a week, because he wanted his employees to be fresh for the job, and the unions take credit for that. I'll give you another one. Remember Ma Bell? My grandmother worked for Ma Bell back in 1930s, and she lived to be 102. Great stories she could tell, but all the phones were black. Remember when we were kids? All the phones were black. They were ugly. Yeah, they were black phones.
And the cars were black too. All the cars were black.
And they broke it up. They broke all that stuff up. And now you got all kinds of different color phones. And today you have phones you can wear on your wrist. And that's all because the government stepped aside and got out of those industries.
Get out of
Eyeglasses
the
is
way,
another one.
government, get out of the way.
Yes.
I know.
I think
and so-
education is the same way. I
Yes.
think if we put more capitalism into education, you would have better produced schools, because capitalism, once again, it's more conducive to working with human nature. You know, if you work hard, you're going to get reward. If you don't, well, you don't get the rewards that the people who, you know, work hard get.
Well, capitalists, who's their boss? Who's the boss of a capitalist?
They're their own boss.
Well,
They're the boss of the person they're producing for.
I have in my business. I had a consulting business, and I did some design work, interior design. Before that, it was fashion design. But when I had my own business, you know, you become very aware of that when you're starting a business. You realize that your boss, you think it's you. I mean, you're the one who makes the decisions. We were talking to that at the beginning.
Right.
But you know that ultimately your boss is the consumer.
That's right.
If they're hiring you for consulting, or if they're buying a product you make, and they will tell you, not necessarily to your face, they'll tell you by either purchasing or not purchasing your product. And there's an organization called Foundation for Economic Education. It has been around for a long time.
Yes.
And they have some excellent resources. And there's one on their website. It's a very small booklet. I think it's called I, the Pencil. And it's all about how the pencil was developed and created, and how many different elements go into making a pencil. You know, the metal around the top that holds the eraser to the top of the pencil, and then there's that lead that goes down the center, and of course the outside of the pencil is wood. And how all of so many, and then there's the people who deliver after it's manufactured, deliver it to the stores where it's then sold. So you've got the wholesaler, and then you've got the retailer. All of these different entities, people and businesses who participate in the ideas, the creation, the manufacturing, and then the distribution of a product. It's fascinating. So, but who is the ultimate boss? It is the consumer, the person who makes that purchase. So the consumer drives the innovation. Think about it. If they are thinking, you know, they would buy colors. Well, it's just a combination of all of these various people who, and government, when government sticks their nose into it, doesn't work. And that, to your point, Rob, is the public school system.
You're absolutely right.
See,
in fact,
because they're not listening to the consumer. The consumer is the parents.
The consumer is the parents, and they're not listening to that. And if they understood, they would have a much more diverse education, because capitalism, just by the sheer fact that everything in any product, any service that you have has to come and from many different places. I want to play you this video because you just described it beautifully. And this is Milton Friedman. This is great.
Yeah, Milton Friedman, love him.
As Adam Smith taught them to his students in this university, are really very simple. Look at this lead pencil. There's not a single person in the world who could make this pencil. Remarkable statement? Not at all. The wood from which it's made, for all I know, comes from a tree that was cut down in the state of Washington. To cut down that tree, it took a saw. To make the saw, it took steel. To make the steel, it took iron ore. This black center, we call it lead, but it's really graphite, compressed graphite. I'm not sure where it comes from, but I think it comes from some mines in South America. This red top up here, the eraser, bit of rubber, probably comes from Malaya, where the rubber tree isn't even native. It was imported from South America by some businessmen with the help of the British government. This brass ferrule, I haven't the slightest idea where it came from, or the yellow paint, or the paint that made the black lines, or the glue that holds it together. Literally thousands of people cooperated to make this pencil. People who don't speak the same language, who practice different religions, who might hate one another if they ever met. When you go down to the store and buy this pencil, you are in effect trading a few minutes of your time for a few seconds of the time of all those thousands of people. What brought them together and induced them to cooperate to make this pencil? There was no commissar sending out orders from some central office. It was a magic of the price system, the impersonal operation of prices that brought them together and got them to cooperate to make this pencil so that you could have it for a trifling sum. That is why the operation of the free market is so essential, not only to promote productive efficiency, but even more, to foster harmony and peace among the peoples of the world.
That is incredible, isn't it?
Yes, that's the kind of videos our kids should be shown in the public school system, not how to that boys can wear a dress. I mean,
right, or how to put a condom on a cucumber.
Right, right. And our kids are consumed with and obsessed with things that they really aren't mature enough to handle.
Right. Well, they create a childhood. They create it. It's almost like they're creating hypersexual children by inducing so much sexuality into the curriculum. Yeah. And if you had more math, more science, more of the academics to take up the mind of these kids instead of filling it with things that are just going to be more, it could create habitual habits down the road that they're just going to have to fight. Why not? Why induce that at all? I don't understand it.
Well, that's a whole nother interview, but they do, they're doing it on purpose.
Right.
There is a goal. It's not a good one. And we're seeing the results of that. This whole idea of really, honestly, capitalism is just fascinating. And what that does is it shows you that there are so many ways you can support yourself as an adult. I mean, so many different things that you can get involved in. It's just so inspiring and hopeful. You know, now too many young people they want to commit suicide. They feel like they don't have a purpose in life. Nobody likes them. They're not popular. Maybe they're a little bit overweight. Maybe they're skinny, or whatever. They're just so self-absorbed and focused on, what do I look like? What, who are my friends? What, all of this. Oh, will I ever be, a singer or a celebrity? You don't have to be a celebrity. That's just a job. Actors have a job. Okay. They need to look at the world and the possibilities. They are unending.
Right.
And even, I don't know your experience in higher ed. I went to University of Washington, and I have a degree in fashion design. And I really didn't know what I could do with that degree. I mean, there was no exploration about all of the different kinds of fields I could go into. Well, really, I've expanded that way beyond fashion design. But I'm an author. My book is selling for $70 in Europe.
Nice.
I can't believe it. I sold it for $25. When I was over there, I talked to a young gal, and she was looking it up on her phone, and she said, "Oh my gosh, here it is for sale for €60." I said, "You got to be kidding me." Well, I said, "Well, good for them. Good for them. They got my book probably in a thrift shop or something."
That's funny.
And now they're selling it for $70.
But what a thrill! You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, that's kind of cool. That's very cool.
But here's the thing. This is what gives our kids hope. This is why they have a lemonade stand. This is why, but we don't have enough. And then the whole job experience that has been taken away. I don't know. I know when you and I grew up close to the same time period, Rob. I mean, I was always looking. I had a catering business when I was in high school.
Right.
Two of my friends and I, we lived on Bainbridge Island. There was not much going on there. And another thing, we wanted to snow ski. We moved from Seattle to Bainbridge, and so we didn't have the access to the mountains, and I couldn't drive. I wasn't old enough.
Oh my gosh, saving up for snow skiing. Are you telling? Yes.
Yes. Well, what happened was we get over to Bainbridge, and I said, well, we need to go up to the mountain. I mean, I want to ski. And my dad said, well, I had two younger brothers. He said, well, you'll have to charter a bus. And that was my response. I thought, okay, great. Yeah, thanks. No, I'm not driving you up there. You're going to have to charter a bus. And I thought, okay, well, gosh. So that was in early in the fall. So it got to be, after the new year, and I'm thinking we still aren't going up to the mountain. How am I going to get up there to ski? And I thought, and so I thought, well, I guess I'll have to charter a bus. So I looked into it, and I did.
That's what you do, though. I saved up for like 9 months just so I could go skiing in Taos. And it was so expensive to go do that,
I know. And so what happened with this was we went on, it was like a 3-day weekend. It was like, President's Day or something. There was a holiday. So we chartered the bus just for that one day. We filled it. There was no room. We filled that bus. We paid for it, and we had to get, like a group rate, because we had to take a ferry into Seattle, and then we get the bus in Seattle, and we went up to Crystal Mountain. By the time
I bet it was a blast of a time. I bet it was the time of your life.
Well, then we did it again. Well, then the next fall, we did it for, like 6 weeks, every weekend. Well, by the time I was in college, so my brothers were still home, and they were running the school, the bus, and they did two different time frames, like in or the early season, and then in the later season, like the spring season. And my mom, she used to be getting calls like around Wednesday. Oh, do you have any openings? Anybody not going? The kids were sitting in the aisles. I come home for vacation, and one of my younger brothers, he's got new skis. He has a season pass. Why? Because he is bringing all these kids up to Crystal.
Yeah.
They're buying season tickets, or they're taking lessons. Then they offered lessons, all these things. Oh, he's got all kinds of new equipment. Why? Because they were making a little more money. Well, the market was there. Right. They were selling the tickets.
There's a demand. It needs to be filled. And why not? You need new skis. And this is how entrepreneurs are born.
That's what you do, because you have a need. You have to pay your rent. You have to, way beyond skis. Well, that's how you learn entrepreneurship.
Yeah. I used to, in school, I was one of the kids who would sell remember the cinnamon toothpicks?
Oh, yeah.
And the Hubba bubble gum, you'd go buy a pack, and then you would sell the bubble gum pieces at a much higher price, and then you'd buy another pack the next day, and that's how you got your bubble gum. So, hey, that's capitalism, and kids learn that way. I was doing that in 6th grade.
Yeah, it is fun.
Yes,
and it gives you. It creates possibilities. And my mom used to say, my parents would go to all these fee seminars, and they would say, you know what makes this country different than other countries? You can create wealth. An individual can own property, own their own personal property, and create wealth. 2 things, they go hand in hand. Huge. This idea of the government owning the grocery stores and owning, apartment buildings and providing free lodging and all of that. Well, we're dabbling in it. We have been dabbling in it. It doesn't work. It
And we
doesn't.
know this. We've tried this. We've got plenty of experiments. We've got time, I mean, decades from different periods throughout history, over 200 years of people trying socialism, and it's failed every way, every time it's tried.
Right. That's right. And you know, we talk about kids being depressed. That's depressing.
Right. But I'll tell you what, if a kid is out there trying to meet a commission salesman, you know, say what you want. People always go, oh, commission salesman, what a bunch of horrible people. Let me tell you, commission salesmen, they work their butt off because they don't get paid unless they're out there hustling for the next sale. And that's where, once again, if we have these young people who are out there trying to hustle for that dollar, they're going to learn a heck of a lot more than someone turning around and just giving it to them. Oh, here you go.
Oh boy, Rob. Yeah.
Give them a house. That's all they need. These druggies on the street. That's my favorite. Homes first. We'll give them homes and they'll be okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not.
You've done pretty good. We've actually gone through almost everything on here, I think.
Oh, that was the outline that I sent you. Well, this is the JD Vance, you know, I mean, this is what we should be teaching our kids.
Yes.
Is that possibilities, and that they have to sacrifice. Now that's really important, that part. You have to sacrifice. In other words, life is hard. It's
and if
hard.
it's worth it, it's really not a sacrifice if you think of it in that way.
Well, but
you know, I hear people say I sacrifice for my children, and I go, no, all the hardship that they've put me through, it was worth it because I love them, no matter how much of a pain in the ass they are sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, we always, when our kids needed something, I remember, I mean, our oldest, he wanted inline skates. And I think he was in middle school age. And I said, oh, okay. Well, they were expensive. They were like over $100. That was a lot. Yeah. Like 40 years ago. That was a lot of money. He's in his mid 50s now. and I said, okay, well then if you want those, you got to get a job. So I drove him down. There was a new McDonald's that just gone in. It was brand new. And I said, just go in there. I didn't take him in there. I didn't hold his hand. I said, just go in there and tell him that you would like to apply for a job. Apply for a job. Practice that. Apply for a job. And he got the job. He was working at McDonald's when he was 14. I think that might be illegal now. I don't know.
I think that's illegal now, and it's just
it is illegal.
It is so
we gotta change that. Yeah, and so
they get so much money from just getting hired brand new at McDonald's. I mean, remember just working up to get $8 an hour when we were kids? It was like, oh my gosh, I'm making $8 an hour. I'm rich.
So what did he do? Well, he got his first paycheck. And I don't know if that was enough to pay for the skates, but anyway, by the time he had enough, when he first hit that, that goal of having enough for the skates, he bought them, and he spent all of his money, pretty much all of his money, on the skates. And Jack comes home from work, who is in commission sales, commercial real estate. We'd go months without a paycheck.
Yep.
Okay. So he comes home and I said, well, Scott got his skates. And he goes like, what? He spent all of it on the skates? You shouldn't have let him do that. I said, no, this is a good lesson. Now he has nothing left for anything else. Well, and he enjoyed the skates. I mean, he did use them. But the point is, we need to teach our kids that there are consequences. You need to save some money. You need to, so that's where when I'm talking about sacrifice, I mean management, personal management of your finances. You are the one who is going to have to deal with the consequences of, too much debt, those sorts of things. If you can manage it, that's a different story.
I used to, anytime I would go anywhere to spend money, I would always measure whatever I'm spending and figure out how much time I'm going to have to work And, you know, say like I was making $8 an hour and I go buy a pizza that's $9 an hour. I'm going to have to work a little over an hour just to pay for that pizza. That's an hour and plus of my time. And I always tried to pass that on to my kid and eventually my grandkid. It's your time. This is where time is money.
Right. And the whole idea of, you know, when you're going to work your first job, are you going to take the bus or are you going to buy a car? Well, you might have to take the bus.
Yeah.
It won't kill you. Okay. What about your lunch? You can't go out to lunch every day.
Can't go out to lunch every day.
No. I mean, what about a Starbucks coffee every morning? No, that's not
geez.
No, that's not
$6 a pop for coffee.
Oh, come on. You multiply that times 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, gosh, I'm so glad I'm not penny pitching back in the day when I was single or when I first got married. Those times were tough and you learn a lot.
I'm talking about suffering and some sacrifice. You see, it's that this is life. This is life, but there are rewards.
Totally.
There are rewards. So, and I just, you know, if every student who graduates high school knows that there are possibilities and understands the value of showing up, being on time, showing respect. Nobody owes you a thing. Wow. I remember my dad counseling me one time, and I had a really great job. I had an executive position. I was married. Jack and I were married. We were living in San Francisco, and I had an executive position at iMagnin in the city in San Francisco. And I worked long hours. So I was a salaried person. I worked long hours because I produced fashion shows and, you know, advertising kind of things. And I got to thinking, you know, I mean, I'm working a lot of overtime. I'm not getting any kind of, you know, compensation for this. And I really deserve more. And so I, you know, unloaded all that on my dad. And he said, well, just remember, you only earn what you produce.
Right.
And so I thought, oh yeah. So if I want some form of compensation for this, I mean, I went to my boss and I, you know, described what was going on. And he said, okay, do this. Keep track of all of that time. In other words, we can negotiate, right? This is what the president talks about when he's talking about negotiation.
Yep.
You go to your employer. You don't pick at them. They're giving you an opportunity. Okay, you go to them and you say, hey, I'm frustrated. This is going on. And he said, keep track of your time and I'll give you that time off. After the show season is over, because I would work really hard. You know, it was seasonal.
Right.
And then, you know, I'll give you extra time off. And I thought, okay.
That's fair.
Works. That's fair. Right. He didn't know I was working all those overtime hours and that I was a little disgruntled about it. So the point is, you know, that's the capitalist system.
Right. You know, I don't think, and that's the maturity level that I see that's lacking in even 30 and 40-year-old people. They don't, to them, they find it, they would take that as an insult. You know what I mean? And they would think, oh no, this guy really hates me and get, you know, you start feeling disgruntled and all, if you, and you showed the maturity to step forward. And I've done it myself as an employee, and I've as a supervisor, I've actually had employees come to me and have that same argument. And I would always tell them, well, tell me why you're worth more than somebody else. My favorite was when I would give a raise to one employee because he's earned it, and one of the other employees would come in, well, you got to give me a raise. Well, no, I don't, because you never show up from lunch on time. You want to leave early. You never come in on time. You know what I mean? You earn it. We'll give it to you. And that's what I always liked when I worked for big retail. It was always about your annual raise. You'd get a 25-cent raise every 9 months, no matter what. Whereas in the smaller businesses, we based it on meritocracy. If you're a good guy, you're a good salesman, I'm keeping that guy and I'm going to keep him happy.
Oh yeah. 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 Because they're producing.
Yeah.
And they're helping the business to move forward. And everybody benefits from that. Not just the owner, everybody.
And I've had to deal with a lot of asshole salesmen who are really good salesmen, but because they were good, I would tolerate them and their attitude. But I'll tell you what, as soon as their sales went down, it was like, oh, I'm going to enjoy this, pal. So,
Yeah,
it's
right. I had an opportunity to counsel a woman in Paris. She's the one that I was telling you about earlier. And she was going to be interviewing for a job. And I wasn't necessarily expecting that question, but I said, don't just look through the want ads or, go for openings, quote, quote. Think about where you want to work. What companies do you admire? Who do you want to be a part of? Go to work. You be the chooser.
right.
Start at the top and work down. Why would you start at the bottom and work up? Start at the top. Think about, okay, so I decided I want to work in high fashion. I want to be in the most, elegant store, in the city. I'm going to start there. And I worked at Saks Fifth Avenue, and then I worked at iMagnet. I did work in manufacturing for a little while. I decided I didn't like that part of town. I want to be, in the nice part of town, not in the manufacturing part. But so I caught on to that concept just by realizing that, this needs to be a place that I'm going to love working at.
And businesses sometimes, if they get a chance to hire a good employee, they may not be looking for them. And that is really very good sound business advice. I've told people that myself. Go get the job that you want. You can look through the want ads, but where do you want to work? And have you gone and knocked on their door? And this is how I became an optician. I wanted to make eyeglasses. I had no idea. And I told the guy, I said, look, I just want a chance to be able to do this. And he says, all right, start on this machine. And within 3 or 4 years, I was the supervisor. That's how this stuff works.
Exactly. And if you are an owner of a business and you go to this business and you tell that owner, you get an appointment to work with them, and you tell that owner, I love what you're doing. I just want to be a part of this. I don't know if you have any job openings, but tell me more about what you do.
Right.
Do you think there's a place for me here? I would love to work for you. Can you imagine being the owner of the business and hearing that from somebody like that a young person is even interested?
My wife got an employee just a couple of years ago, a young man. He was in high school. He came into the coffee place, and that's exactly what he told her. I've always wanted to do something like this. I love it. This smells great. And I just want to know do you need somebody? And she just was happening that she was going to need someone down the road. So she went ahead and hired this kid, and he no longer works for us, but it was cool that he came in and was like, oh, I've always wanted to do something like this. And kids, sometimes they don't again, this goes back to the emotional level of maturity, and do they have it? And it doesn't, you don't have to get angry. You don't have to be mad, and don't take a no as a finite answer, because no today might be yes tomorrow. I've been told no by a lot of people.
Exactly. And ask questions. Ask questions.
Yeah.
Because so many young people think they have to know it all.
And the ones that act like they do are the biggest pain in the asses.
And they are not going to get the job.
Yep.
So it's all about, are you teachable?
Yeah.
Are you a person that we want around, our business, that's going to add to the culture not steal from it, not suck the air out of the room, not be undependable, but be somebody who's excited and wants to offer something. I mean, just that alone. If our kids in school were learning those things, I mean, they'd be unstoppable. And all of your listeners, they probably get this and they understand it, but their children, the young people in their lives are going to be head and shoulders of all these other kids. We wonder, well, why not more kids doing? Well, actually, work on the ones that you're around.
Right.
If you're mentoring them, if you're a parent or a grandparent or just a next door neighbor, I remember having those questions with my kids' friends and saying, look, your name is the only name on that report card. That's on you, man.
Yep.
You want to get good grades, you got to go after that. That means you have to study. You're not dumber than the other kids. That's not measuring your IQ or anything. The other kids are getting A's because they work at it.
Right. It's not that you're stupid. It's just that you lack the motivation to do this. And
right.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I've watched some kids who really throw away God-given talents. One of the best ball players, football or baseball, the kid never wanted to play, but yet he would be the best player on the team if he just didn't want to do it. Doesn't have the motivation to do it.
Right.
And that's what I see a lot of times with a lot of these kids. We just don't want to do anything. And that's the other thing I tell people. We're not all going to be the supervisor. We're not all going to be the CEO. And so if you're the guy who's flipping the burgers, if you're the guy who's filling the gas tank, be the best gas tank filler there is. Be the best whatever you are, because that you're not going to be that forever. You're going to move up. There is going to be change. Change is the only constant in the universe.
That's true. Right. Right. And life's dynamic. And you don't know who will see you. You don't know who you'll meet. No. If you're working in retail, you don't know who will come in to that shop and think, wow, there's potential there.
I did a public access show in Albuquerque, and one night I got a call from the governor and became a governor's advisor. You know what I mean? That was Governor Gary Johnson. He called me up, and I remember getting the call. His secretary called, and she goes, "Can you take a call from the governor?" I go, "Governor Johnson?" She goes, "Yeah, can you take a call from the governor?" I said, "Sure." She goes, "Well, he's in a meeting. I'm going to give you a call back in 5 minutes." So I hung up the phone, and my wife comes in, and I tell my wife, "Whatever you do, don't touch the phone. The governor's going to call me." And she goes, Yeah, right. The phone rings. She picks it up, and she looks at me and goes, "It's Governor Johnson for you."
Where
Next
was
thing
this?
I know, I'm in the Santa Fe Roundhouse talking to the governor about legislation. Very interesting stuff.
Oh my gosh.
So things can happen overnight that can change your life, and these kids don't understand this. And the other emphasis, we're talking about schools and schools' choice. It's very important because those are the most impressionable times of your life, but they're the shortest time of your life. And I think we as adults, we put too much emphasis on that time. We look at the movies we make about high school. You got Grease, you got High School High, you got Dance High. You know what I mean? We make so many movies about high school, but in reality, it's only 4 very short years of our life. Right. And then we go on to really do the important stuff.
Right. Well, and my daughter mentioned that to me when she's our youngest, when she was graduating from Tualatin. And she said, "Mom," when she made it to Oregon State University, and she said, "Mom, high school isn't real. It's not real life. It's not real life."
Yep.
It's not the people who were the quote popular kids. Usually, not always, but oftentimes they struggle after they're out of school because they're so dependent on that social life, in the high school, and suddenly they're nobody. And when the class reunion comes around 5 years later,
Mm-hmm.
people start coming to the class reunion that went to the gym and, bulked up, and you can't even recognize them. And, all these things start happening after high school. So caution your kids, that isn't going to define you. You don't even look like what you're going to look like in 10 years.
Not at all. Not at all.
Not even close.
So the whole time my kid was struggling, in a couple of years, he was struggling here in a small town high school. I kept telling him, dude, it's going to be over with so quick. And the people that are you're having trouble with now, they're going to be at the gas station serving, the gas to you. So just hold on,
man. Yeah.
Time wounds all heals, I think or is that time heals all wounds? One of those things.
Time heals all wounds. Yes. Yep. Well, this has been great, Rob. And
this has been a really good conversation.
I know we didn't plan any of this, guys. I mean, we have to do it again. And I just want to encourage, let's do this. Let's make the schools in Oregon the best.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen from the bottom up. Okay. Yes. Our president has, put out some executive orders, and there've been some great things coming out of the Supreme Court and all of that, but none of that is going to be applied unless we do it at the local level. Yeah. Why? Because in the state of Oregon, our legislature is a mess right at this point. So we don't know what's going to happen, in November. Maybe things will change, but it won't happen overnight even then.
Right.
So, and our kids need us now. Like you said, Rob, it's a short window. That high school window is short. Okay. And kids are graduating every year, and we are failing them. They are not prepared. They are not ready.
No.
Okay. So if we're talking to people in our age group, I would say to them, hey, why don't you step up and serve on the school board? That is service, by the way. That's serving. That doesn't mean, that's your be all end all of your life. Of course not. But we need to give back, and we need to find out what is going on in our schools. Talk to your neighbors. Tell me what's going on with your kid. How do you need any help? Okay, should we be at the next school board meeting? We need to challenge this. That's not right. You have rights. Get on, have them sign up on our website. I want to see parents and citizens in this state coming together for our kids. They can't have school choice tomorrow. It's not going to happen. Why? Because we don't have enough alternative schools for them.
I know. In Bandon, that's the problem. I mean, you don't have an alternative. There is no alternative.
No. So we own those public schools. Let's take them back. Okay.
And get involved. Go to your kid's classroom and ask to be a teacher's aide. And I don't care if it embarrasses your kid. Tough titty.
And if you are a teacher, you can bring in outside speakers. Bring in an entrepreneur in your area or it could be a rancher.
Right.
I don't know. What's your industry where you live? Bring them in and have them talk about what they do every day. And how they make money. I always, when I hire, a vendor or somebody, to work for me, I always ask them, how do you make money? Do you make commission on products that you use? Do you make, are you a supervisor? Do you have subcontractors? How do you make money? I want to know that so I can understand what their bid is really covering. And
what's your motive? Why are you doing this? And how do you get this done? Those are good questions.
Yeah. And so bring in people in your community who are successful, either entrepreneurs, and maybe it's somebody, maybe it's the local sheriff. Okay. Why did he choose that job? Right.
They could, all they would have to do is, and after I get you off here, I'll run through the sponsors of my show. All they have to do is talk to the owners of any of the businesses that sponsor this show, including my wife, they would be more than happy to go to the classroom and give them a straight talk about what it's like running a business, how they make money, how they get customers. All of that stuff is so much more important than the garbage they're learning. Whatever, I don't care what they're learning. That would be better.
Yeah. And that's going to inspire them. Absolutely. This is a community project.
That's a good idea. We should require that more. We should find out a way to make that a requirement. The teachers need to bring in more people from the community.
Yeah. And a lot of times the schools won't allow it. Because the unions are against it.
Yeah.
I interviewed, I ran for public office up here in Tigard area in, 2012 was the last time I ran for Senate. Mm-hmm. And I interviewed with the DA in Washington County, and I said, do you go into the schools and talk to the kids about the law? And, because a lot of them are very rebellious. They don't respect law enforcement. And so they get shot, literally, because they won't get out of the car. They won't do when the police officer says, stop, baby, you better stop. I mean, just those basic things. What kind of, that whole thing. Because I remember there was an incident in Tigard where a kid, he reached in his pants or something, and they thought, well, maybe he has a weapon. They don't know. Do they know if they're having sex with their girlfriend that they're responsible if she has a baby? Do they know that? Right. Do they really know what the law is when it comes to, age of consent? So are you invited into the schools? He said, yeah, we've offered, but they don't want us.
That would be a good thing too. That's weird because
they don't want you in the schools talking about what's legal and illegal. Wow.
One of the first people I've ever worked for was a DA who ran for Congress for the state of New Mexico. And he came to the high school, and I helped his campaign by handing out pamphlets at some event. And it was only because he came to the school and spoke, and I thought it was kind of interesting. And, that's, they should allow, I mean, I could understand why they would say, oh, we don't want businesses, but it's stupid. I'm sure there'd just be excuses, but to say, I don't want the DA, I trust this guy to go in court, prosecute the criminals. He takes an oath, but I don't trust him to come in and talk to the kids because, well, he might expose us for who we are. He would, if they asked him about child sexual laws, the teacher may get in trouble. Be part of
I don't know.
Well, I have to tell you, this has been a wonderful conversation. For anyone who wants to get in touch with Suzanne, can go to parentsrightsaneducation.com, sign up for the newsletter. Take the quiz.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
And we'll help you if you want to run for school board or other public office. We have a political action committee in the state of Oregon. So, by taking the quiz, you're showing that you share our values, and we provide you with all kinds of complimentary things like a website and, you name it, check it out. We would love to help get elected.
Very cool. Thank you for joining me, and I'll get you back on soon, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Rob.
Take care. Bye-bye. And that was Suzanne Gallagher. I love having her on. She's always a wonderful guest. Before I get out of here, I got to let everyone know I am sponsored. I've got 3 really great sponsors. 3H Tree Service. You can reach them at 541-294-1800. That's 3H Tree Service, 541-294-1800. You can get a free estimate. They do tree removal, tree trimming, and lot clearing. And believe me, that guy right there at the far end of the screen, his name is Matt Holman. He can come in, he can take out those trees with surgical precision, and he'll clean up after himself. You'll never know these guys were there. These are very top professionals. and the tree removal service. And of course, Tom and Gigs. And like I said, any one of these guys or people who own these businesses who sponsor, that last gentleman, Matt Holman, he was in the service. He would be really good to bring into a classroom and to talk to people. And let me tell you, any knot that you need tied, he can teach you how to tie it. I've been through a course with Matt Holman where he taught us how to tie different knots. Tom and Gigs, Shanna and Tim, who own Tom and Gigs, would be another two great group of people to take into a classroom and ask them about their business. How do you make money? How do you get customers? How do you advertise? Well, one of the ways they advertise is on this show. They were one of my first sponsors when I did the radio show. And you can get lift kits. You can get performance accessories at Tom and Gigs. They're at 135 South Shoneman Street in Coos Bay in the Empire neighborhood, right behind the car wash. And if you're familiar with the Empire neighborhood, you know where the car wash is. You can give them a call at 541-888-4660. That's Tom and Gigs. And they're the largest RC distributors in Southern Oregon. So if you want one of those remote control cars, remote control planes, drones, they got it there at Tom and Gigs. And they've got expert installation, quality product, because your ride is worth it. And remember, if you don't know whether your car is travel worthy, you can go to Tom and Gigs, and for free, they'll let you know whether your car is travel worthy or not. So good stuff, Tom and Gigs. And of course, Herbal Choices Cannabis Dispensary for all of you who do partake in smoking cannabis. They are a quality shop, but we do ask you to use this responsibly. It is a drug, so you will be asked for an ID just going into the building. And remember, folks, don't drive while under the influence of marijuana. Don't use heavy equipment while under the influence of marijuana. And don't give it to anyone 21 or younger. This is not for children. It's only for adults. So I want to thank all of you for tuning in today's show. And please, if you want this stuff to get out, because I had a lot of people in the comment section tell me about what a great conversation this was. And I thought it was a fabulous conversation. Suzanne never disappoints. She's really intelligent. She knows how to carry a really intelligent conversation, and she's got a lot of information to give out. So if you want this information to get out and you want more people to see this type of conversation, then you need to share this video. Share the podcast as many places as you can, all over social media. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch this on Rumble. You can catch it on Twitter. You can catch it on YouTube. And it's all under the handle Rob Taylor Report. So just share it everywhere. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I think we're going to have a pretty crazy Friday night rant. This Friday night. This should be a good one. If you missed the last Friday night rant, the one with Ben Edel and Michaela, you got to go back and check out that show. That was just absolutely phenomenal. It was great. I want to touch on a few comments here that I don't think I got to put up on the screen before I leave. Jane Brown says, once I knew where my autistic grandson was struggling, I was able to teach him in 2 hours what the professional educators failed to teach him in 11 2 years of school. He went up 16 percentile points in the last quarter of his school year. He is now on par with his peers, but on par is not good enough. He deserves to score higher than the 30 percentile. Yes, they do. And he can, if people will take the time. I have learned that, Jane, I have heard that from a lot of people, that their kid is failing in school. And I'll ask them, well, have you sat down with them and gone over what the school is asking him to do? Have you looked at his homework? Have you yourself checked it out? And a lot of parents, you'll find that they really don't know how to do math. They really don't know history. They don't know science. And so it leaves a lot to be desired for parents who are struggling to teach their kids because they don't know a lot of this stuff themselves. It almost takes you back to the remember the show, the television show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? A lot of people just aren't smarter than a fifth grader. In fact, I found out in many situations on many issues, I wasn't smarter than a fifth grader. It was quite embarrassing, I tell you. But that's okay. So we now have a huge internet. And for all of its foibles, for all the problems that the internet causes, there are great resources on the internet that parents can look up to find out how to do math problems, how to figure out history, how to figure out the sciences, and how to do different projects. So if your kid is failing, that's on you in many parts. If your kid is not doing good in school, I know my kid was he was lacking in reading, and he wasn't able to read as good as his peers. So what we started doing is that we would go to we went to what did he have? Karate. We went to karate in Coos Bay from Bandon almost 3 or 4 times a week. So on that drive, what I did is I started having my son read out of his books out loud. And while he read, I would stop him at a certain point. I'd say, hey, who's this character that you're talking about? If we were reading about Robin Hood, well, who's this Marion character? What does she have to do with Robin Hood? You know, what is their goal? What are they doing? What's the story up to now? And I would ask him those questions because reading something isn't just reading. You have to actually comprehend it. And I think it was about a month. Within a month, he was reading well beyond what he needed to be. And I'll tell you what, it's probably not as good as it should have been, but at least it's better than what it was. So if your kid's failing, part of it's on you, folks. You got to get out there. And Jared says, absolutely, it is appalling and egregious that these conversations are not happening in classrooms around the nation. Instead, we have dirty communists talking to our children about pronouns and sexual preferences. Absolutely disgusting how much potential in our children is being wasted on meaningless, worthless garbage. And it's true. And it's garbage. And it's being done purposely because they want your kids stupid, because they want to be able to manipulate and control them. I don't think it's going to work, folks. I think kids are going to come out of this haze and they're going to realize they've been lied to, and they're going to be searching for the truth, and they're going to be coming for answers. So some of those teachers out there, you better be ready for those children when they grow up and they find out they've been lied to. They're going to be coming to you for those answers, and it's not going to be pretty. But until next time, folks, I'll see you on Friday for the Friday night rant. And I think I've got an interview scheduled with Joel Skousen. He is an international geopoliticist. He's been studying geopolitics for a long time. He can tell you all kinds of interesting things. His family has been in politics and analyzing politics for a long time. So Joel Skousen, if you watch Alec Jones, you know who Joe Skousen is on. So I think I got an interview scheduled with him. We'll figure it out. But if not, we'll have somebody on here, and I'll see you on Friday. But until then, folks, until the next time I see you, you know what I always say: carry on, Coos County, carry on.